Neocatio.
Hello, YouTube! I'm Teknoaxe, and this is Quake Champions. Alright, so Quake Champions is out of closed beta now, so I guess that means I can make a video. I probably should talk a little bit about the Quake franchise before getting into this game, and I'll just say that back in the 90s, Quake was one of the greatest franchises in all of gaming, and it really is one of those pioneering things that other games have kind of looked to, and a lot of the stuff that modern games have comes back to what was taken from Quake, or what was inspired from Quake. So what's the big deal here? It's basically, you're in an arena, it's a big level, and you are running around like a maniac, and you are trying to kill everybody else. And maybe you're on a team, maybe everyone is on a free-for-all, maybe it's a capture the flag or some other mode, but generally speaking, that's what's going on. Instead of showing up with your guns and or abilities, you basically have to run around and kind of know the map and pick up the items, and that's the way that you're going to control the game and win the game and stuff like that. So what that avoids is having somebody who's spending, or was spending 8 hours a day, and they got all this stuff that they've collected from progress, and you're coming in and you don't have any of that because you have a 9-to-5 job or whatever, and they completely crush you. Right off the bat, you don't have a chance. So that sort of thing that might be in other games, not quite the case in this game. That obviously has a problem, of course, because if you like progression, that's not really progression friendly. So in Quake Champions, what they've gone and done is they've added a few things into the mix to try to give you that bit of progression while trying to still make it a Quake game. I should probably mention a few things that I don't like. I did say that I played Quake in the 90s, basically all of the Quakes really, and so there's a lot of nostalgia here, and there's a bit of an incentive for me to say, well, they changed things, I hate it, boo-hoo. This is not the Quake that I was playing, and let's ignore the fact I'm not playing the old Quake anymore. But anyway, a few things that I don't like. The heroes. I mean, the heroes are great, don't get me wrong, but if you played Quake in the 90s, one of the things that I would say is Quake was always one of the very greatest games in terms of mod support. And what I'm seeing here in the beta, at least, and of course, the beta means it's kind of early, but all indicators are that this game doesn't really have any mod support, or much of in the way of mod support at all. And they have these heroes, and the heroes have special abilities, and because they all have different special abilities, the game has to be balanced around those abilities. Having the players just add their own heroes is not really all that doable in this case. So I can see why maybe having them be able to have you mod in your own characters might be not the greatest thing. But still, overall, what does that mean? That means that you can't just do what you did in the 90s, which is go to a website and then just look through 1,000 different skins and models, and maybe 10% of them are professional quality, and maybe they're rated up on the website so you can figure out which ones are the best ones, and then, download like 100 new characters and just go nuts. You don't do that in this game because, they want to have their own little heroes, and maybe the characters are a little harder to model these days. But look at Skyrim. Skyrim allows you to have all these different armor and modeling, so people can do that. And industry professionals still play video games and still do mod on their own time. So they could do it if they wanted to, but they're not. They're not doing it. So the mod support's not there. Also applicable for levels. They're obviously going to come out with their own levels. There's going to be a few. How many? Probably a dozen or two, maybe. We haven't really got a firm count on that so far. There's only a few levels in the beta, like 2 or 3, so it's hard to gauge that. But the idea of you creating your own level, not really looking like that's going to be the case in here. So again, having played Quake 3, I would say This game doesn't quite live up in that regard. I mean, when you play Quake 3, there's like thousands of levels. Like, if I said there was 10,000 levels for Quake 3, I was probably undershooting it. I mean, there's so many levels for Quake 3, it's ridiculous. But, you know, you're going to be playing Quake Champions, and, you know, if they have only 12 levels, what's that? You know, it's kind of hard to live up to in that case. Now, is that fair to say? Is it fair to hold this game to that standard? I mean, you know, how long has Quake 3 been out? It's been out for quite a while. People have a chance to, you know, make all this different content and levels and the modding. You know, I would say yes and no. I mean, obviously, I can't expect them out of the gate to have all this stuff. And, you know, maybe they'll bring out mod support, you know, if the game is, you know, successful and all. But, you know, that's completely hypothetical. And what we're looking at is, what is the game going to be like on launch? And what is the game going to be like for quite a while, probably, on launch? And it's just, you know, that is a category where it's going to be a little bit crappier than the previous Quake games. One of the benefits, though, will be the fact that people are now in greater numbers going to be playing a Quake game. So there is that. So the game is going to be free to play, and they are saying that they're going to also provide an option for you to buy the game outright, which is great. Because, like, you know, if you got the nostalgia glasses like me, then you're kind of used to buying the game in full and not having it trickle down and you know, piece by piece get the game. I was playing the the beta, and a few things here. They've got basically premium currency and points and things like that. So you have to play the game, or, you know, give more money to them in order to unlock other characters. I was able to actually play the game and unlock a character for 24 hours. I mean, that's going to be a thing. So I don't really like doing that. I'd rather just buy the whole game and have all the characters. I mean, take it, like, I mean, what am I supposed to say? I mean, here I am talking about, like, the old games having, like, hundreds or thousands of different characters that you could choose from. Of course, in those times, all the characters are really just the same. It's just cosmetic. But
spawn in 15 seconds.
What am I going to do? Am I going to play this game and have only, like, one character out of the only 12 that I can choose from? I can't deal with that. I just can't deal with it. I mean, I get that, you know, options are great and stuff like that. So, I mean, if unlocking stuff like that is your thing, then more power to you. But the fact that they're going to offer the game full price is just great, and I would rather go for that if I got the game at all. So, and I probably will pick up the game at some point, I would say, from my experience from playing the beta. So the game does have unlockables, as I was mentioning. They've got what are basically loot boxes. There are characters that you can unlock with some of the currency, some of the points that you accumulate. You can buy points, or you will be able to buy extra points. So there's going to be all those hallmarks of modern free-to-play games and modern shooters, I guess, you know, like Overwatch and stuff like that, in the game. Not so much in the way of differences between the characters as like a game like Overwatch. There are some changes, some differences. They have different abilities, but you really have to be kind of good at the game to really notice some of those. Some of the changes require that you use techniques and strategies in the game that normally you wouldn't really be aware of if you were new to the franchise or new to that type of game. The gameplay is fantastic. It's a lot like I remember. It's basically like Quake 3. The weapons are a bit different. That's okay. You know, they're obviously going to make things a little bit different, freshen things up. The gunplay is awesome. The strategies, everything is really enticing you to walk out of Quake Live and into this new game, and I think that's really something that would make the game successful. That's obviously a great idea. Some of the changes that I see here from Quake 3, obviously, you don't start off with just a pea shooter when you start the match. You start off with a selection of your guns that you like. You know, your rocket launcher. Oh my God, they're starting you off with a rocket launcher, machine guns, you know, things, laser guns, things of that nature. And you get 3 of them. You get a little bit of ammo when you start off, so you're not just running off with nothing. They are a bit weaker in version, like they're a bit weaker than the regular type of weapon. So if you have a rocket launcher and you shoot people, if you pick up the rocket launcher, like, you know, typical of a Quake game, after that, you'll actually be doing a bit more damage than just off the draw. So there's a bit of a balance with that mechanic, but they have made that little tweak. And it's a little bit weird, but once I figured it out, it was, yeah, I guess they could do that. I guess it's okay. As you can see, I'm a little bit rusty, and I gotta put in a bit more practice before I get good. I'm a little bit low in the rankings, but that's okay. Some people really like the game, and right now they're playing the beta, and they're playing the heck out of the beta. So some people here are obviously a bit more practiced than I am. The heroes list is not the best, but they're pretty good. I mean, it could be better. I mean, the list could be a bit bigger, and I mean, I'm really hoping what they do is they bring in other heroes and other characters from other Bethesda games, and just even with the Quake selection and their general creativity, I mean, Quake 3, I think, had a better list of characters, and if they brought in some of them at least, I mean, I think that would be a little bit better than what we have here. They have a good selection. They could have a much better selection. It's also possible that they are saving some stuff as a surprise, and they don't want to give away everything in the beta. All in all, I like the game. I think it's a great Quake game. It's a good sequel to Quake 3, Quake 3 Team Arena, Quake Live. There's obviously, I have a few maybe unrealistic expectations and nostalgia when it comes to the modding and things of that nature. I mean, I like being able to go to a website and just download 100 levels and characters and things like that. Might not be the case with this one, unfortunately. And to me, that's a huge hit, because my gosh, they were the kings of modding back in the day, the legacy. But you know, if it means having Quake back again and being popular and people playing it and being able to enjoy Quake again, maybe it's for the best. I'm sorry to say, but all in all, though, that aside, fantastic game. I'm probably going to buy it. Huge legacy here and a lot of nostalgia. Plenty of nostalgia. Big, thick nostalgia goggles. Big nostalgia. I'm Teknoaxe, and this is Quake Champions.
Hey YouTube, I'm Teknoaxe. Thanks for watching my video. If you like what you see, don't forget, like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. And thanks for supporting my channel.